My husband cheated on me when I was 6 months pregnant. You can imagine the pain, the shock, the confusion.
Hello, my loves. Empress H here. Welcome to another episode. Today's video is about how your outlook and mindset in life can break or make you. We all know that this is life and shit happens, but the way you react or look at things can dictate if you become a victim of circumstance or you surmount and use your circumstance as a stepping stone to get to your next level.
It's a shock. And then what did you do? You are baby on the way, you guys have a house together, and you're married. And so that's when you think strategically, right? I have always been smart that way. Like cases like where you are married, you're stuck in a situation and he does something so horrible to you, is wait and start planning, right? The first thing you have to take into account is that once the guy cheats, it's an open relationship. That means that you don't have to ask for permission to do anything or to go out on dates, right? In this case, I was pregnant, so I had to wait. And then that was a horrible year because when it was time for the baby to come, it was a stillbirth, so there was no baby. And I still didn't leave him because I was planning strategically the best way to get out. And so, but what I did do was I stopped making his little sandwiches. I stopped caring about the house. I said, hire a maid. And all that energy that I was putting into the marriage, I withdrew and I put it on myself. I became super hot. I went to the gym. I had a liposuction done. I care. I became really selfish. And I started dating. And so I started an affair with my boss. The affair with my boss was amazing. Like imagine having something new and the novelty of living an affair, like the passion. And so I understood what his position was when he cheated on me because like I was missing out. He was living his life. I was missing out. And my boss was flying me everywhere, dining and whining me like I was living the life. And so then I had to experience seeing my ex-husband, which now is my ex, sad and crying and depressed. And it's fine to do things until the same thing is done to you, and then you don't like it so much, right? But then the worst thing that a woman can do is become a victim, or be begging that he doesn't do it again, or being checking his phone and become obsessive about what he's doing, where he's at, checking. Oh my gosh, that is such a waste of your time and your energy. And then I was able to climb the ladder because of my grief. I mean, like life just opened up for me when I did that move. Like when I started dating my boss. When you realize that you are missing living your life just because you are in love with a man who is not even, he's incapable of like loyalty and faithfulness. And then you're like, no, fuck no. I don't want to get married. I don't want to be cleaning houses or cooking for someone that is not even going to like watch my back.
Perspective is very important because it helps us to not internalize the shame, blame, or guilt squarely for the other party's shoulders. I so love her outlook, that's why I decided to include it in this our little episode today. Because she refused to take on his shame or blame meant for him. We know that as a society and culture, we are very fond of trying to make women, especially wives, bear the brunt for men's lack of sexual discipline or their indiscretions by saying things like, oh, you let yourself go, or you were not satisfying him enough. That's why he stepped out on you and all that. It's slowly getting better, but we all can't deny its existence still. I know that some of you also have the question of, oh, the boss that she had the affair with, was he married and all that? Watch this.
Everyone has been asking, was your boss married? No, he was not married. He was single. He was finishing actually his master's degree when we had the affair. Very smart, bright. He had that entrepreneurial sort of spirit, which I loved. Men also have this biological clock ticking. And so he was like, ring, 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 time to get married, time to have kids, time to settle down. It was like, uh-oh, because for me, it was a fling. No, he was a great catch. Like he was tall, good looking, great future ahead. But me, I had a failed marriage. I had a stillbirth trauma. I was in no shape to enter a deep committed relationship. I had a fear of betrayal. I had a lot of fears and trauma. And I didn't think it was fair for him a lot to repair my body. It took me a year, from the hanging. I gained a lot of weight and my skin was hanging. I had a C-section. Then I had a lipos. I'm not ruining my body, and I'm sorry, it sounds egotistical and narcissistic, but I'm not ruining my body for anybody else's happiness. The trauma was overwhelming. So I'm like, no, I'm sorry. It's not the time. Get pregnant, you lose power, you lose opportunities, and you become dependent. You are vulnerable and you are in a weakened state. It's not for me. And I think I grew to love him because he was amazing as a person. He was like, just elope, just lived everything here, because he lived in a different city. He worked in my city, but he was building a house in a different city in the capital, which is Quito. And he was just like, let's elope, leave everything. I have a house that is almost done. You don't have to worry about anything. I'll buy you everything. I'll buy you your clothes, your shoes, everything. Live. He was like, live today with me. Like, let's elope and let's get married. And I said no. My plan was to leave the country. This happened when I was in Ecuador. And so I wanted to come to the States for a new beginning, for a clean slate. And I wanted to travel and see the world. I had big dreams. I wanted to go to college, get a degree, and then travel the world. I asked them, I said, I just need a favor from you. I need a visa. I need a work visa that I can come to the States. Facilitated me getting a work visa to come to the States. So as much as I loved him, I just didn't see myself as a wife. Like settling in Ecuador and getting pregnant, bears children for another man who is probably going to cheat and probably climb the ladder while I stay behind, filled with kids. I believe that my ex-husband and my boss had to face their karma. And sometimes karma comes in the shape of a Latin woman.
In this second half of her story, what jumped out to me was her unwavering loyalty to herself. Because we know how men are in the heat of the moment, with their adrenaline from the chase still pumping in their systems, okay? They will promise you the world and everything within it, but execution and follow through, that's another story altogether. So in conclusion, if he is not aligned with where you are going, please do not abandon yourself for whatever dream he's selling to you. Because what happens to you when there is no follow through for whatever reason? Maybe there is a separation, or even worse, he passes on. Then what? You're going to be left with nothing to show for it. So in conclusion, nothing is truly guaranteed in life except passing on. I want us to look at a case study or cautionary tale on Elizabeth Ann Broderick, popularly known as Betty Broderick. The cautionary tale is on two concepts: the starter wife trap and the mindset concept. Betty was born to a large Catholic family on November 7th, 1947, and met her then husband Daniel Broderick in college 1965. He was from a large Irish Catholic family himself, and it looked like they had the same value system and upbringing. She agreed to marry him and was later married on April 1969. She had her first child in 1970, and their honeymoon when they got back to Dan's dorm. Betty alleged that Dan's attitude became controlling and that she couldn't do some of the things she used to do. They later went on to have 4 children, with one that died a few days after birth. The cautionary tale on the starter wife trap was that Betty was the sole provider for her household for the decade it took Dan to go to medical school as well as Harvard Law School. Even after graduation, he was still not making enough, which still required her to support the family. Betty went ahead to encourage Dan to start his own firm as a medical malpractice attorney, which he went ahead to do. Betty was also probably the primary caretaker of the kids, as was the norm at the time, on top of being the sole provider for the family as he went to school. Dan went on to become very successful and prominent in his career as a medical malpractice attorney, to the point that they went from struggling to practically millionaires overnight. Dan was a one-man team at the time, but went on to later hire Linda, his legal assistant. He told Betty about her. She was happy and told him that now he will have more time for the family. At a Christmas party, Dan said that the legal assistant Linda was beautiful, which made Betty very suspicious, but he kept denying the affair. Betty wasn't happy about their relationship and told him that he had 30 days to fire her. Around 1984, they had a home renovation, and in 85, when they moved back in, Dan told Betty she couldn't come back home, that he needed space. Yeah, he kicked her out. He then went ahead to move Linda, who he denied having an affair with, into their home. Betty got mad and started sending emails, drove a car through their lawn, and other erratic behaviors. Dan filed for divorce and due to his legal connections and knowledge, was able to lowball Betty into paying peanuts as alimony settlement, as well as took full sole custody of their children. Betty went ahead to unalive Dan and Linda. She's serving time in a women's correctional facility. You can check out the Netflix documentary for a detailed storytelling though. For the cautionary tale on mindset, Betty was born in 1947. Baby, 1947, how many years ago was that? And during that time, the programming and grooming for women to aspire to be nothing other than mother and wife was extremely active. Betty grew up in a large Catholic traditional family that groomed her and sold her the fairy tale of the white picket fence, and she became bitter when it wasn't delivered on. This program is still very much alive and active presently. It just shows up in different ways and in different parts of the world.
Okay, so here's what's happening, and this is one of the main reasons that women are suffering. The way you view men, the way you view relationships in the world, it is entirely wrong. Now, my brain thinks visually and in analogy, so I just took off my glasses, right? As we are being raised by society, our parents, and culture, it tells us what is important and it tells us how to view the world. It says you want male validation. It says you need and desire the love of a man. And when a man tells you who and what you are, you take that in and you say, okay, this is how I build my sense of self. Many of you are incredible, but because this planet is so messed up, you are partnering with men who do not deserve you, and you become so wounded by something that is less than you. I cannot accurately explain how truly tragic that is. Imagine being a divine light being, and you're born on a planet, and you are attracted to the opposite gender, but that gender is so dysfunctional. But everything in your culture and society normalizes it. And now you need this dysfunctional thing to love you. And that love is supposed to tell you something about yourself, but you can never really get it. And each man you meet wounds you. Do you understand how tragic that is? Now let's imagine one day you put on some glasses and these glasses correct your vision and they show you exactly what the hell everything is. So here is what we have been doing as women. We have been looking at everything wrong to the degree that we have been pedestalizing men and reducing ourselves. What would happen if you had an entirely new vision and a new way of looking at life where you elevated yourself, you saw your own divinity and your own greatness, and now you're looking at men and you say to them, you have to prove something to me. If you are going to enjoy my body, if you are going to enjoy spending your life with me, you have to show me something. Because I know and love myself so well that I will not allow someone into my life who is not worthy, because I know what the cost of that is. And the cost of that is losing the idea of myself. The cost is insanity, and I'm using that word because a lot of us have been driven insane by men who should never have had the privilege of doing life with us. The cost is you don't even get to fulfill your purpose. Whatever you came here to do and be, well, you've gotten on board with what this man wanted, and now you're his wife and you're having his kids and he's cheating on you and you're exhausted because he doesn't even know how to share the mental load. Do you understand that as women, we need to correct our vision? We need to correct how we see the world, how we see men. But what's most important is we have to correct how we see ourselves, and we have to know that we are divine and we are worthy. And anybody who wants to do life with us, they have to prove that they are worthy of the privilege.
Listen, get obsessed with yourself. I am not saying that lightly. You need to be so obsessed with yourself that it changes the way you talk, the way you walk, the way you show up.
Why, Ellie? Why do I need to do that?
Because the world treats you exactly how you treat yourself. This is the mirror effect. When you start pouring energy into yourself as you are right now, when you start taking care of yourself, when you actually start being your biggest supporter, you send out a very powerful signal into the quantum field of possibilities. Send out a signal that says, I am someone who knows exactly what I'm worth. I am worthy and open to receiving all of my desires. People respond to that, opportunities respond to that, money responds to that. You stop getting treated as an option by your reality, by the people in your reality, and as a priority, as a first priority. So let yourself be in love with you. Do not water yourself down. Do not shrink yourself to make other people feel comfortable. Walk like you belong in every room. Take up the space you are meant to take up. There are not trillions of cells right now working to keep you alive for you to play small.
Take away from today's video, if nothing else, you should be your number one priority, as well as unwavering loyalty to self. It doesn't matter what anybody's saying. Does it align with your vision for you? The emotional strength to not let people's betrayal sidetrack you or make you self-abandon. This was modeled to us by our first speaker, where her ex-partner's betrayal, she didn't let that self-abandon or make her go crazy and do something stupid. Also her unwavering self-loyalty, where the boss, where the person, the affair partner, was like, oh, trying to sell her on this dream, and she was like, you know what, that's cute and everything, but I have a mission, I have a vision, and I have where I'm headed. So yeah, this was fun, but I gotta go. Another takeaway is that the world and the people around you treat you how you treat yourself. This was witnessed with Betty Broderick's case. She wasn't a priority in her own life, and by extension, that made her an option too. Do not be so hyper-focused and obsessed about something that you become blind to your own self-abandonment. With that being said, bye for now. See you all in the next video. As always, I am your host, the Empress H Baby. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment. I would like to know your thoughts on this in the comment section. Bye.